Welcome back to Cardinal News and part 2 of our interview with staff about COVID-19. As stated in the last episode, coronavirus has affected our schools in countless ways, including online learning and forcing us to wear masks. Today, we interviewed these teachers and staff to ask how COVID affected them personally and in the building.
My family personally is still kind of isolating from other people, so I would say we're kind of lonely. And we're hanging out with each other, but we're definitely not interacting with people the way we used to.
I think it's just like anything else, like everybody else. It's just there's the nervousness that you have of being places and being exposed to a virus that could make me really ill. I mean, there's that concern that happens. I think that it's really hurt my daughter. She, as a family member, she hasn't had a regular year of high school yet. Her freshman year ended with COVID. Last year she was in a remote situation, and this year we're back to masks as a junior. So I think that's been hard for her. It really hurt my son. He was a senior during COVID last year and affected sports and things like that. So it's been tough, but I've been healthy, and I'm lucky to have the family I have, so I can't really complain, but I wish we hadn't had to go through this entire COVID situation. That's saying it lightly.
General lifestyle, well, you think a lot more about what you do, who you're walking close to somebody, going into a store, a restaurant, things like that, making sure you always have your mask on just to stay safe and protect everybody around you.
I've been largely unbothered by COVID. I am triple vaxxed, so I have immunity. I'm not afraid to be around people, and at the same time, understand why others still are. So, with regard to how my health is or anything like that, or my family even, it's been fine. However, I'm the primary caregiver for my mother, and even though she's triple vaxxed, she's in a vulnerable category, and so for a long time, many months, I was not allowed to go into the facility where she lives, and because that's my mom and I'm her primary person, that sucked. It was really hard and very heartbreaking.
So it's been hard. I personally had COVID, and that I still have repercussions from it. So I was diagnosed with asthma afterwards, so that's been difficult. I also have had some family members who have had COVID, and it's been pretty serious for them, and I know that other people have had loved ones lose their lives. So in the sense of the actual disease, it's been really difficult. I've been lucky to keep my job, and lucky that I've been keeping my home. So I've been lucky in those senses, but the disease itself has been hard.
It honestly is kind of disbanded it. I don't really know if there still is a student council. We all still have our titles, but in my opinion, honestly, since we're not all in Mr. Tisdale's, and we kind of got shut down from, not at the beginning, but pretty early on. So I don't know if there really is a student council anymore. It's certainly hard to run it when there's really no decision making to be had, because I just don't really think it's a thing anymore.
Well, we have Schoology, lots of videos of me doing the math and them just watching me doing the math, but again, that's not as effective as us being able to do the math together.
If we had to go back online, we would do that with pretty good advance warning. We would be working with our teachers to make sure that we accommodated our students. It'd be tough on our students more than anything to have to try to figure out where to go to get help and get questions answered. We would rely again on Schoology, but we've had this conversation with our staff and being very careful in that if we ever had to make that transition to support our students, because the hope would be it wouldn't be a very long-lasting situation. So I wouldn't want my teachers to spend a lot of time planning for remote learning, and I wouldn't want students to have to prepare a lot for that transition. So it would just be a lot of kind of front-loading information, make sure students had what they needed. I think the big thing would be to make sure we had our computers with us. That's probably goal number one in this situation, and we know where to get our resources. And so we'd be looking at something a little similar to last year, maybe some Zoom things, but it's not something we're really planning for, because it's something we hope we don't have to implement again.
We're forced to go back online. They would have to get dropped off here by 4:15, and we'd have practice like we did last year, hand sanitizing stations, ask them all the questions about their symptoms and such, and practice from that.
Well, I would continue with the projects that we do in my social studies class. Try to get them to investigate learning and figure it out. I'd be there for support and be there to help. Obviously online, through Zoom meetings, one-on-one. I would always meet with my students and pay attention to emails and any concerns that the students had. But again, if we can just be practicing safe things like masks up and washing our hands and doing what we're supposed to be doing, hopefully we won't get to that point.
Switch over to Schoology and just be like super Zoom person.
Forced to go back online. Luckily, we have a relationship. We know each other pretty well. So I'm hopeful that we can continue to learn like we are now. So we have books for everybody. So we'd probably just read our book and try and do the best that we can to still learn.
Now I am thinking if we would have to go back to remote, I definitely would think about talking to Mr. Tisdale about seeing if there would be anything else we could do. But I think we would try to do something, but I don't know if there's anything we can do at this point.
I think the online was super duper hard for them. I think they lost a little bit of how to school, like simple things like raising our hand and taking turns. I think that was like a relearning thing for them. They had to relearn how to be in a classroom.
I think that it has absolutely put us in a tough position. As I said before, you learn best in person with your teachers, and we got about a half a year of that last year. So some students missed some really important information that we have to make sure we go back through and fill gaps for, so to speak. So I think that has really put a tough spot on us, especially for students who really struggle with school. Like myself, back in the day, way back, school wasn't the easiest thing for me. So those students who learn best from their teachers in person didn't get to do that for a while, and so that absolutely put them in a tough position to try to catch up once again. So, but our teachers are doing a fantastic job. Proud of them.
I mean, I'm not sure how it's affected them just from having to kind of think about what they do outside of school, I guess, trying to stay healthy so they don't get sick. For some, it's taken them a little bit longer to come back, if having trouble breathing, things like that, if they did end up having it. So slowly getting them back into the routine and practicing.
Well, I mean, to be honest, the masks are tough. I get it. Nobody wants to wear a mask all day. That would be the only thing that I would say. And, for those students that did have to miss because they had to quarantine for those 10 days, most of them did a remarkable job of keeping up with the work that, was sent home. Our principal put in some good measures to help students be successful while they were at home during quarantine. And I think teachers have been really patient with those missing assignments. But I think the kids have done a wonderful job with it thus far. I mean, if I look at our attendance, I maybe have 1 to 2 kids absent per day. And it's not always because of COVID. It's, missing for a doctor's appointment or dentist appointment or something like that. But no, they've done a really good job, and I hope our Worthing Way students continue moving forward with that so that we can keep everybody safe and moving forward.
I think generally people are still acquiring the language pretty well, but students who struggle tend to bail out faster in COVID times, or have anyway. And the skill area that, like Spanish is a 4-skill area, you gotta have reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Is really hard to do good speaking practice when you're at home or when you're masked, and so the speaking skills of my students have suffered. So that's the big area.
I think that you are all able to learn just like you were before, but we have to do it a little bit differently. So I think you all have the capacity to learn, absolutely. But now our focus might be a little bit different, and so our ability to focus on certain tasks might be a little bit shorter than before because our stimulation has been different. So I think that we're definitely a little bit more understanding than we were maybe before, because COVID's definitely taught me that if anything, we need to be understanding of like mental health, and that your mental health is more important than anything. So kind of sticking down that road.
I think it's made us more interactive with our phones, which in a way has made us more social. It's a plus and minus. We've all kind of just gotten through it. It's obviously affected us all in the fact that it's been tough. It definitely has taken a toll on our emotional state, but I think overall we've actually done a pretty good job of just being okay with it and living with it.
According to the CDC, the COVID-19 lockdown started March 15, 2020, the U.S. shutting everything down. Later, before December of 2021, the Delta variant was the largest variant of the coronavirus. But ever since the Omicron variant appeared in the start of December, it has been spreading throughout the world very quickly. And there you have it. This is how COVID has affected our school.